Hey, this is August 10th. This is actually a video about anxiety disorders. Again, if you don't have anxiety, just watch another video. Don't watch this one. Then it has nothing to do with you if you don't have anxiety. Um, I'm not going to actually talk about all of them. I'm not at that point yet. I did get a message in my inbox saying that, this one girl actually wanted me to explain mine more in detail for some reason. She didn't exactly give me specifics. Sorry, I got my toys. Always have my toys when I do a video. Again, anxiety helps me to calm down. Music helps me to focus. So that's the kind of anxiety I have, just to let you know. I do not like having my picture taken, as I've mentioned, so having me on film, I'm still not used to actually seeing myself in this box. So, I hope I'm not repeating myself. I know there's generalized anxiety disorder, which I have met a few people with it, and that gets bad, and it's like manageable sometimes. I actually have social anxiety disorder, which is completely screwed. Yeah. Pretty much everything that I do affects my anxiety in life. Hint the social part. Everything affects it. So, I will start off when I was younger. I was actually adopted. So, I was very shy, kind of meek child, kept to myself. Anxiety a lot when I was little. Especially being adopted, you think, oh my god, what if this family doesn't love me? And then, I just kind of, that's the way I kind of thought when I was younger. So that did have a lot of anxiety-linked issues. And of course, growing up, being a perfectionist, I guess you could say. I was a perfectionist and a stuffer, and a cutter, and a scarfer and a barfer. Started drinking young, smoking young, that kind of stuff. Started cutting young. Very rough road my whole life. But I'm still here, so I do clap a lot when I'm happy, because I'm still here. After all I've been through, you think one of these things would have got me already, but they haven't. So I will start off by saying that, it did kind of suck growing up. As a kid, being adopted, it was quite confusing. It did lead to a lot of anxiety issues. That by itself did. Just the fact that, there's somebody else out there that's actually your mom, and how come they didn't want you, and then you're trying to be perfect for this other family half the time. Which of course is the way that my childhood was, not somebody else's. Unless you were adopted and you felt the same way, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So that put on a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of triggers, a lot of self-hatred, self-mutilation type stuff, just to cope with the fears that I was going through. My anxiety attacks or panic attacks actually did not start to actually affect me strongly till about, I say, my senior year in high school. That's when it started to actually kick in, because I was doing high school and college, and I was engaged, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And of course, my dad was in the hospital. He was sick, and I just couldn't cope with all this crap at once. I think my first anxiety attack was like my third day of college. I was like freaking out in the classroom. I just kind of sat in the chair just as tight as I could, just trying to squish into a ball. And the professor asked me if I was okay, and I just kind of shook my head like yes and no at the same time. And he's like, "Are you okay?" He actually had to walk me out into the hallway, and he gave me a paper bag to use, which I'm like, I kind of stared at him like, what am I gonna do with this paper bag? And he actually told me what to do with it. So I sat there in the hallway. I was so messed up. And I actually breathed through this bag for about 10 minutes. Well, 5 to 10 minutes. which actually calmed me down. I felt extremely dizzy. I think that was my worst one. My heart was racing. I was sweating on the back of my neck, my palms. I just felt like all my whole system was just tense, inside, outside. My muscles was just like kind of like a vibrating feeling inside, but then everything else is just like so tense and tight. Your arms are tight, your muscles are tight, your legs, your toes, everything's tight, and I just could not calm down. So I did not exactly know what the heck it was at the time. I just thought, oh my god, I'm just like overstressed, so it's just something that has to do with stress. I didn't actually think it was anxiety issues, which, you know, I was young and my family never really talked about that stuff. It was mainly church and how to be a homemaker type stuff. Never actually talked about the aspects of anything outside of that, pretty much. Yeah, so I kind of learned the hard way, like years later. But anyways, excuse me, sorry about that. Big arms. So by the time after that, I think I didn't have another big one until like I was like 18 and a half, 19 years old. Like after I finally got married. Yeah, dropped out of high school and college to get married to this guy. Because his family basically convinced me that I could get my GED and drop out of school and have a great job for the rest of my life. The heck was I thinking? Oh my goodness. Totally wish I would have listened. But anyways, I started having more anxiety because my high school sweetheart actually was a big porn freak. I enjoy adult movies, pretty much about the same as others, just with different tastes and aspects involved. So that was kind of disturbing. Actually, it was the first time that I'd ever been with anybody been involved with any type of adult entertainment type situations, and that gave me anxiety. And on top of that, he said that he wanted kids like right off the bat, and I'm like, I'm 18, you want kids? You gotta be kidding me. That caused a lot of stress. I remember going to work. At the time I worked at a grocery store called Publix. Yeah, Publix, down in Florida. And I would drive to work and just like totally freak out the whole way there. Like, okay, I got like 20 minutes to get to work. It's my freak out time. It's just my time to like completely let it consume me, and then I just have to calm down before I get there. And for the most part, I could do that. There were days that I actually had to actually smoke marijuana before I went into work just to calm down. So that was my first vice, was smoking marijuana to actually calm me down, which worked for a couple years. It really did. Yeah. So, let me see. After I got divorced, like 6 months later, no surprise. Goodness, I totally resented him and his family after, because I started thinking about, oh my god, I could have been like halfway through this and nursing school, and I resented everything about the marriage. I really did. So it turned to shit, without a doubt. So after that, I started drinking on top of smoking, of course, to manage my stress, anxiety levels, which actually was good for the anxiety in a way, but bad for the depression part, because it's actually they're antidepressants. So drinking actually did not help the depression. Yeah. Another way that I actually learned to control my anxiety, which may seem kind of weird. Again, if you're an adult, you know, and you have anxiety, then you might understand where I'm coming from. If you're a kid, please do not do this. I might have to age restrict some of these movies. I don't know how to do that yet. I wish I did. I actually started turning towards sex to actually calm myself down. I found out that at the peak of my anxiety, I could like actually be stimulated in certain ways and like completely distracted. Then by the time that we got done having sex, I was calmed down. Um, so that turned into a good substitute for anxiety. Not a healthy substitute, but a good substitute. That lasted till about 2000, 2001, when I actually got into detox and rehab. Yeah, no one there to have sex with, right? And yeah, sharing a room with like 20 other women at detox was not exactly the best situation for anything. So yeah, I actually had a lot of anxiety attacks, panic attacks. They refused to give me anything. Um, I know during detox, what they told me to do was to do exercise, which actually helps to release the happy hormones and chemicals inside your head. And also, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you exercise, your blood pressure actually goes below what it was when you started after you finish exercising. So it actually helps to keep that low too, which is freaking awesome. Did not know that till I actually went to detox. So she told me to walk the hallways at night when I was anxious and panicky and I couldn't sleep. I mean, even in a full-fledged panic attack, I was not allowed anything at all. Complete detox. So, of course, instead of walking, I would jog the friggin' hallways. No joke, back and forth. It was like a big building with like the cafeteria, then like over here you got the bathrooms and the lockers, then you got like the girls' dorm, the guys' dorm, and like the hallway going through it all. So I would just like jog the whole hallway all night long, just going around in this big L shape, until I finally calmed down, which some nights took half an hour or so. Let's see, sometimes it ranged between like 10 minutes to, I think the max was like an hour or more. For the really big ones. Yeah, and those were usually when the guy that I was staying with then actually caused a lot of anxiety just because he put down everything I was trying to do. He didn't believe in detox. He didn't believe I had a problem. He didn't believe I needed to do this. I didn't need to do. He was just complete negativity. So whenever there were the days for family to come, yeah, we had family days at detox, which was sheer anxiety myself. Cause you gotta talk in front of like everybody's family and friends and explain why you were there, or there'd be like a special topic for that day, and I hated it. That brought on anxiety out the ass. It really did. I could not control my anxiety. At the point, I didn't know that it was like actually anxiety. I just thought it was at that point because I'd stopped doing drugs and alcohol, so I had no idea. So you gotta think that I was living with anxiety since I was like 10 or 12, and I had no clue what the heck it was. Nobody took the time to explain how come you're feeling this way, or the ages and stages discussion. So I was completely lost about everything. I think when I came out of rehab, I was like, wow. Because I actually stayed in detox for like 6 weeks just because they refused to let me go home. And that sucked because my anxiety got worse and worse and worse. Then after that, I done my 30 days in rehab. So that was like almost 3 months worth of crap, if you ask me. I'm sorry. By the time I came out of rehab, I was sent to outpatient rehab, which is where I was seeing a psychologist who actually, I'm sorry, I just heard a noise, who actually told me that I have anxiety issues, because I described like what's going on, the signs and symptoms, depression, everything else, the mood swings, and first thing I was placed on, oh my goodness gracious. You know, I wish I had my books. I want to say Ativan. It's probably wrong. It was something along that. No, it was Xanax. There we go. Thank you. Xanax I took. I was on that for a couple months. And it got to a point to where when I had to go to work, I just could not drive because I was swerving into lanes, and like, you gotta find something else. I mean, I just cannot focus on this at all. After that, I was placed on, probably gonna say this wrong, propranolol. It's PROPANOL. Propranolol is actually a beta blocker for your heart, which sounds kind of scary, but don't freak out. It actually helps your body deal with the extra adrenaline from anxiety. So it's for your heart. That's the main treatment for that certain medication, but it also helps with anxiety, which worked, I would say, like 70% of the time. It was pretty good. So at that time with the meditation, I got into walking more, not jogging. Well, I did jog for a little bit. Again, that caused some rifts with the guy I was staying with. But not gonna go there. He was a big anxiety trigger. And I started to walk. I started to like do stuff around the house, stuff like that. Also started to meditate, which I learned in one of the group sessions in outpatient rehab, which I had like never actually heard of. Like, ooh, meditation, okay. You guys are a little weird. We actually tried it in a group setting once. There was like, if I remember correctly, the group was like 8 or 10 people. Like, it was like small groups. And we actually like all sat there with like the lights off. I think there were like 4 candles in the room. And she lit up incense and opened up these jars of lavender oil, and there was another one too. I want to say lavender and green tea. And then it was kind of smoky, musky. Sandalwood. There we go. Thank you. Don't know why she did the sandalwood. That one smells great. But, so we did do a session with our eyes closed, focused. And she actually done the, you got to picture a blank type meditation, which I have ADD. I got stuck with a little bit of everything, guys. So me trying to like completely blank my mind is not gonna happen unless I'm sleeping. So I actually learned a thing myself, which has worked out since then, because I still do the meditation. For what now? That's almost got 12 years, and I cannot go blank. I have not been able to once. If I do, it's for like maybe 5 or 10 seconds, and then poof, these thoughts just pop in my head, and I cannot stop them. And again, I refuse to go on medication for ADD. I don't know if I've mentioned that or not. Not gonna happen. So no medication. I try to focus the best I can, which is good. I do have things set up. Again, I'm in my 30s, you guys, just to let you know. So I do have certain ways of dealing with things without having to be on medication. Like, doctors want to stick you on every pill they have. There's a pill for everything now. Very scary place that we live in. Especially nowadays. They got way too many doctors, way too many pills for everything that's out there. I personally do not believe in pills first. I believe in finding alternatives first, and then medication. But that's just for the minor things I have. For the major things, you may need some medication. Again, I am not a doctor, not even close to it. I don't have any serious problems. So I will always try alternatives before I try medications. That's just the way that I am. It's kind of like a anxiety issue thing, like, oh crap, I'm trying a new medication, and I psych myself out. So one tip I have learned is that if you're taking medications for psychiatry or anxiety issues or other stuff like that, I do not read the side effects list unless I feel something weird. Because I have learned that if you do read it, you are I myself feel every symptom the same day. So my brain personally psychs myself out. So I do not read it unless I feel something weird, then I read it. I have learned that much so far. Hang on. My throat does not want to swallow. I'm still sick. 1 minute. So, sorry about that. I'm like my throat just closed up when I try to swallow. So, I do still meditate, as I was saying. But instead of actually doing the blank thing, I focus on something. For me myself, it's a forest with a stream going through it. Also, because I'm pagan, I tend to use a aspect of the god or the goddess, which I know some of you have no idea what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to get into that, but it's like a male figure or a female figure type thing. So, for instance, if I'm under stress because of female issues, then I will try to meditate, calm down, and I started off as a black forest, like a dark night forest. Then I see the stream with usually with the moonlight in it. I don't usually do it without the moonlight, and I just like slowly go down the stream, kind of like I'm a leaf, just kind of floating in it type thing, and I can see all the trees and the bunnies and the birds and the owls and stuff like that. And then I come to this like stop because there's like stones, and I see a female figure come out of the woods, all white, shiny, bright, sparkly, fairy type thing, and she actually opened up a path with her sparkle and light. So I follow her path, and usually that works every single time. I have no problem focusing on it because I've been doing it for almost 11 to 12 years. So I got that one pretty much down packed. Also, I do space images in my head, like stars and different constellations and nebulas and all kinds of stuff like that. So there's also tend to work for me. I also did learn to keep bags around me. They don't have to be paper bags. For example, I got a prescription today from the grocery store. Just a regular bag, right? If you guys can see that, just a white bag. Without showing the papers. Just a plain bag. And I will actually keep it on me. It does not have to be a brown paper bag, just as long as you can actually make a hole on top and kind of crinkle it so it goes over your nose and mouth, and just kind of breathe into that. And I do a slow breaths. I do 10 in and out, like really slow. Then like take it off and I breathe 10 and out slow. Then I do the back again, and I take it off and I breathe again. I think I do that for about 4 to 6 cycles, depending on how bad the anxiety is. And by then I'm pretty mellow. So I will admit that I did have my anxiety actually like double. It increased like twice as much as it is in 2004. Again, at the time I was multitasking a lot. A single mom trying to furnish a whole apartment from like rock bottom, starting over, and school, and a job full time, daycare, no time for myself hardly. It was very stressful, and my anxiety became uncontrollable. I actually completely freaking panicked out at this job I had. I was actually doing housekeeping at that time before I switched to the grocery store, which is a lot calmer. And I don't know what set me off, but we did do this house with this dog. It was like I want to say like a Saint Bernard meets freaking Cujo. This dog just would not stop barking, and he just stood there like right in the middle of the living room and just would not move. So we just kind of stood by the door like, okay, who's doing? I'm like, I'm not doing the living room, I'm doing the bathroom. I'm like, I'm not even going near the dog. And he actually followed each of us to see where we were going, and then he would just bark his ass off at us and just would not stop. So I'm in this little tiny bathroom they had. I'm trying to clean, and I can just hear some click, 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 clicks. I'm like, oh my god, the dog is coming. I was freaking out already with him. He is huge, and I was already freaked out. And I could just hear him coming, and I'm like, oh my god, please don't let him attack me. That's the first thing I'm thinking. And he just stood there, and he just would not stop barking. And just poof, anxiety hit me, and I guess dogs can smell it, I don't really know. But he went like completely freaking raging, just barking, shit flying out of his mouth, just would not stop. The two of the girls with me actually had to hold him back by his collar and call the house owner to actually come to the house, because he just would not leave me alone. So needless to say, after we left, about 5 minutes after that, they actually had to call, had to call 911, because I was so anxious and panicky that I swear to God, my heart was gonna pop out of my freaking chest. So they gave me like 3 shots just to calm me down when I got to the hospital. I do not remember what the shots were. The first one was like okay, I was still freaking panicking. Then of course they came to check on me. Then I got worse, more panicky, because they were talking about that damn dog. And they gave me, the second time they gave me a combination of 2 shots put together. And after that I was completely out. I was done. After that I went to my PCP, and he actually took me off of the propranolol. I hope I'm saying that right. And he put me on 1 milligram of Klonopin, like twice a day. Over the years that went up to 2 milligrams. I don't know if you know anything about Klonopin. It is actually a benzodiazepine. Basically it's a narcotic drug, which is not good considering I'm a drug addict in recovery, but still, it's the best one that works for me so far. And if you take benzos, you tend to build up a tolerance to them after a while, and they have to be increased, which completely freaking sucks. Yeah, it sucks. So I was on 1 milligram twice a day from about 2004 to like 2006, I think I was. And then my PCP upped it to 1 milligram 3 times a day, which was awesome. And I kept that up till 2010, after my nervous breakdown, where I was up to 1 milligram 4 times a day because of the anxiety. And within the past year, I have been up to 2 milligrams 3 times a day because of my anxiety. Talk about upping my shit. So right now I'm at 2-3 times a day with the Klonopin, which actually seems to be working pretty well. Only side effects is that you get sleepy, you feel like you're stoned. Don't know if anyone's actually smoked marijuana. It's kind of like that, but not as potent, I guess you would say. And again, over the past 6 months, my anxiety is declined. I can feel it coming, which is like usually when I try to go to a room where it's quiet, or I go to the bathroom and just like lock the door for like 5 or 10 minutes. And for the most part it works, but there are times where I'm like completely rock bottom, panicking, cannot calm down and save my freaking life. And let me see here. My worst one is in the past 2 months. Don't ask what day or week or month. I have no idea. I know it's within the past 2 months though. And the best way to describe it was that I started to get these like thoughts of fear for like no reason. I was downstairs, I believe, with my husband and his nephew, and I just kept on thinking about like dark places and just like scary flicks from films that I watched and stuff like that. Like I just could not control my thought process, period. Then I started to get flashbacks about my past relationships and being abused and all of the stuff that's happened to me. Again, could not control my thought process, period. So I managed to get upstairs, and then I just like crashed on the floor. Like I cannot fucking move. Which I couldn't move. My butt was stuck to the floor. I didn't want to move. After that, my brain went into like complete overdrive, just like constant thought just racing through me. Just could not stop my thought process. So the first was a thought process, then I started to feel this like hot flush feeling, which turned into sweaty palms, sweaty neck, sweaty back, sheen of sweat everywhere. I mean, like I was like shiny looking. I got kind of flush looking, also kind of pinkish, like in the chest area, cheeks area, got flushed. The first thing that started to get tight is actually the farmost regions of my extremities, which is like my fingertips and my toes. Those were the first things that actually kicked in. They started to get numb and tingly, and then it just like slowly spread up my arm and up my legs at the same freaking time. And by the time that they kind of like met in the middle, I guess you could say, it's like every muscle just went rigid, like poof. And I was just like, oh my god. And honestly, I actually had to get on the phone and call my husband because I just could not move, did not want to leave the room. I was terrified to even leave my bedroom. That's how bad it was. Dude, awful feeling. Oh my god, it really was. And I remember him coming upstairs. I'm just like, rub my hands, rub my hands. That does work sometimes also with me. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but if you rub the palm of your hands, or like the wrist of your hands right here, along with the soles of your feet, it actually, for me, it improves my circulation with the blood. So you don't get that numb feeling in your hands and feet. Like, okay, I can feel my hands and feet because they're being massaged. So it does kind of calm me down. Also, it actually does kind of stop that numb feeling. It is. I know it sounds kind of funny, but it works. For me, it does. I actually did have to get a bag. I was like so dizzy. See, at first I started to breathe extremely fast, like just, and by the time that he came upstairs, I was like breathing so shallow after breathing so fast that my brain was just getting an overload of oxygen, I guess you could say. So, yeah, overload of oxygen, get the bag, gotta put some more CO2 into your brain. So, that's what I done. Again, I done the 10 slow in and out breaths. They kind of have, which is like really hard to focus on, I know that, but you gotta kind of keep it at the same speed. So if you breathe in for like 5 seconds, you gotta breathe out for like 5 seconds. You gotta try to keep it even the best you can, and you gotta try to keep it at the same speed, which is like freaking impossible during a panic attack. But if you focus on it, it actually does kind of help you to take your brain off whatever else is actually clusterfucked you. So again, I done the bag, 10 in, 10 out, take it off, breathe in, 10 out, 10 in, put the bag back on, and I think I done that like 6 or 8 times that day. I was totally out of it. Again, I did do the sexual arousal thing. I do have a certain trigger that does actually start me off like right off the bat. And I actually ended up having sex throughout the end of my anxiety attack. So I calmed down with the hand massage, the bag breathing, the focusing point, and I actually had my eyes closed with the whole forest and the fairy lady thing. And towards the end, to like completely release those happy endorphins, I had sex. I know for most people, you're thinking, yeah, having sex during a panic attack is like the first thing that you do not want to do. At first, I did not believe it. I know I read it from some book, or I might have heard it. Either a book or heard it off of some talk show. But it actually does work for me most of the time, like 99.9%. If I can actually push myself through the anxiety, then by that time I have sex, if I'm calm enough, and it helps to release more of those little happy little chemicals inside your brain. So it actually relaxes the hell out of you when you're done. So that is a little short video that I was hoping to be shorter than this, but actually it's not that bad. So that's pretty much how it's been so far for the past some odd years for me. Again, I'm like 110, so no, I'm kidding, obviously. I will definitely get more into the anxiety issues. Just my perspective. There might be some medical stuff that I actually talk about, but again, I have to list all the pages and resources and stuff like that. So I hope everything is okay with that. So I hope this is helpful. If it wasn't, just comment again in the video comment or in the inbox, which is awesome. I know there's some people that actually don't want their comment showing, which I completely understand. So that's kind of cool. So I hope this was a little bit helpful. If not, especially to the one woman that asked, just like if you want to be more more defined about exactly like which points do you want me to talk about, I will do that. I do hope that this was a little bit helpful. It's kind of like a quick run through of what I've done, like not being on specific actions, traits, or whatever. So I hope it was a little bit helpful for you, as I just said. If not, just message me again, and I will definitely do one just on a certain topic if you want to do that. If it has to do with the meds, I'll do that for just the meds or the doctors, or there's more than one anxiety disorder. So if that's what you were hoping to see, just message me and I'll also do that too. So I would love to help you out, okay? So for anyone who watched this, I hope it was a little bit helpful. Again, if you want more details or info, just message me, okay? So have a great night, and thanks for watching. Bye.